Hi, welcome back. My name's Newman, and I was going to come out and check my cacti today. It's a lovely day, about 22 degrees, so why don't you come and join me? Alright, here we go. Great weather. First we're going to start off with the top shelf. Okay, so we've had some typical spring days. Very humid, very damp, kind of misty rain. Today's kind of on the sunny side. So all these cacti are starting to wake up and show some signs of growing. So you can see here that this right in the areole there, you can see a bud forming on this Gymnocalycium saglionis. And Gymnocalycium saglionis is native to northern Argentina in Jujuy, Catamarca, around those areas, where the springtime can be very wet there. High humidity, very wet. Summers get considerable rain. They have a nice dry winter rest where the skies are more blue, and it can take, well, for me, this particular cacti can take temperatures well below zero. So in Celsius that would be -8 is no problem. And over here is a much larger one. You can see in the areoles there, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, so far 4 buds. This is a much larger one. I take no credit for growing it. I actually bought it big, and I've been growing it for the last 2 to 3 years. I noticed one thing about Saglionis. For somebody that might overwater, it surprisingly doesn't rot. But if it does get the rots, it's very easy to care for. Ouch, I just pricked myself. It's very easy to care for it if it gets the rots. You just have to take it out of its pot and clean up the rotten area and spray it with hydrogen peroxide just to clean out all the bacteria and everything, and to make the wound nice and clean. And then it'll be on its way again. Next is a grafted Punabonii, which is native to very high altitude areas of Argentina, possibly Bolivia, I think. This one I grafted to see how it would grow. So far so good. It's grafted on Echinopsis, and I chose Echinopsis because it's also quite cold hardy. It's shriveled quite a lot, it just needs some water. So Punabonii has beautiful white and yellow flowers. Either the center or the outer petals are yellow with white, but it's very big flowers. A little bit of a challenge during the monsoon season, but it gets through it. It's got a lot of offsets on there. Okay, next up is my Tephrocactus geometrizans. No, it's not that one. Articulatus, sorry. Enormous. I bought this little piece here, and it's become really weathered and corky, which is normal for it, and it's produced 1 offset last year. And there it is, so it's growing fine. It's a slow grower. Next up is Sclerocactus unicactus, and this is a very xerophytic cactus, which means that you should err on the side of underwatering rather than overwatering. It actually likes that better. It survived the last year, but it hasn't been put through the test yet, so we didn't have a typical monsoon last year, so we'll see how that goes. but it should be fine. Here's another Saglionis. It's one of my favorite cacti, so I tend to grow quite a lot of them. I'll just put my hand here for a comparison. Next up is Phaerocactus glossicens, which is one that grows in the neighborhood. You will see big barrels of these things growing underneath the eaves of a lot of homes, even neglected ones. So as long as it's not getting direct rain on it, during the summertime that is, and here in Japan, then it grows very well. And once again, the winters are quite dry here. Next up is one of my favorite clumping Mammillaria Humboldtii variety, Cespitosa, and it's probably got one more year before it needs repotting again, but I love its growth pattern here. It has the comb-like white bristly spines that cover the whole cacti, and you can only just see a bit white, so it's just really neat looking. This one is my Mammillaria vetula, subspecies gracilis. What a mouthful. Lucky I wrote a tag there. It has lovely purple flowers, and it has got through the winter very easily, no problem, without much protection. It's a nice grower. I really like it. Next up, this one is in flower. So it's a spring flowering Mammillaria, Mammillaria magnumama. Now magnumama grows right down to from 0 to 500 meters. And it's a cactus that's been renowned for actually growing on volcanic outcrops, straight on volcanic. So it's a pretty tough cactus. It also grows in grasslands. So during the springtime it would get considerable amount of water, no problem. Plenty of water every time it dries out. And then in the winter kept on the dry side. And it's got more buds coming up on there, and I really like it because it has the shorter radial spines, and then it has these really long, gnarly, twisted central spines. So it's really neat and very easy to grow Mammillaria. Okay, next up is a very old Phaerocactus Magdalii, which I've had growing for 9 years. No, longer than that. It's about 11 years, I think. And it was just a very small cactus in a little tiny pot. And it has grown into this big thing. It's very hardy. Cold temperatures, heat, humidity, there's no problem for it whatsoever, and it just survives and keeps going. As long as you just keep that medium on the dry side, everything will be fine. Espostoa lanata, it's starting to put out some much longer spines here. Ideally I wanted in terracotta, but I planted it in this plastic pot. That's all I had at the moment. I've had it for about 2 or 3 years now. It's growing really well. Cold hardy, because it does get very cold here in the winter, and it's really got that dense wool in the areoles there, which tells you that it comes from high altitude, so it gets a lot of very bright, intense sunlight and very cold temperatures, and that's what the wool's for. Also protected from frost. This one here is a very old cultivated plant I've had for probably as long as this, or even longer, and it's a Phaerocactus hematocanthus. And this thing has been through mealybug wars. Back when I was first growing cacti and I just grew them, I didn't really care for them too much. Not a lot of TLC. I had a lot of mealybug issues, but I've completely eradicated them years ago. I recovered from the damage from that, and it's been growing really well. You might notice in the bottom there that I like to put mammillaria thimble cactus in the bottom there, because I think it's a nice filler. It's growing in a very porous mix that's pumice and red clay. Yep. And this one will flower in autumn. On the counterpart, this is also Cactus hematicanthus. But I think that this one is a different variety, because this is the typical one. More barrel shaped, and this is also Cactus hematicanthus, and it can handle a lot of neglect, underwatering, whatsoever, kind of lots of natural sunlight, a lot of heat. One thing that'll damage it, of course, is our monsoons can be quite misty and rainy, and then suddenly out comes the sun at its full potential, which can burn it. So you just got to be careful with that. Moving along, this is one of my favorite monstroses, Austroscylindropuntia subulata monstrose, and I really love this plant. It's quite slow growing actually, so it makes a nice tidy potted plant. It won't grow too fast for you, and I have cultivated it. So down here you can see here is a smaller one that I've been growing in a pot, and I have another stem too. Quite cold tolerant. You can go right down to -5 degrees. As long as it doesn't get frost on it, it'll handle it, no problem. Over here we have Notocactus Lenninghausii that I've been growing for years. I bought it as a large plant. It's grown about 2 inches of growth from last year and the year before. Growing very nicely. Notocactus actually love humidity during the summer, so don't be afraid of humidity. Even 80-85%, it really enjoys it, and it likes a lot of sunlight, and it likes to be watered regularly. I've seen these growing outside in Japan during our wet summers that are very humid, and the plants have been really moist throughout. So don't be afraid of the watering. The thing that will make it rot is excessively dry in the winter at the roots, followed by watering. And there's nothing but dry, desiccated, dead roots in there that trigger off spores that have been in the soil. So it's just a massive outbreak of fungus attack, and that's what kills them. So it's not the overwatering, and it's not the heat. So just keep that in mind. This is Notocactus magnifica that I bought as a neglected plant, and it's been doing really well. Got through the winter, no problem. We got down to -5 degrees, which is, I think, 20 Fahrenheit. Took it really well, no problem. This is Notocactus warelsii, and you can see in the middle there that it's getting buds, so I better give it a water soon because it's pretty dry. This is Claviceps. Claviceps is native to southern Brazil. It grows right on the margins of dry evergreen jungle. So right above it, above these cliffs that overhang rivers, there's like dense jungle, and it loves humidity. If you check out these plants and habitat, they even have mosses growing on the bottom of them and around the bottom of the stem, and a lot of lichen. So that tells you how much humidity is around. They just require a really well draining soil, and they don't like to be waterlogged. So they like it free draining, but watering, no problem. It likes plenty of it. This one here is Notocactus and Mammillaria. Now that thing is really shriveled up, and I should start watering it today because being a mammillaria. This is actually too dry for it, so I'll get onto that soon. This one is Scopa, which is grows in high altitudes in Bolivia, I think, and has beautiful sulfur yellow flowers. Very beautiful plant. This is Mammillaria gracilis again. You can see right on the tips there that it's getting a lot of offsets again. It's nice. Up here, the flowers are not open at the moment, so I can't show you. It needs a watering. This is a Maticana or a flora, or a folia or flora. The shape is mishap because I bought it like this, but give it a few years, it will get back its nice squat barrel shape that it needs to have to be a beautiful plant. Up here is one of my oldest Notocactus, Horstii purpureus, that grows on steep cliffs in Bolivia, I think. Yeah, and it also comes from a very humid area. Also, it can get very cold there, so it can get down to hovering around about 0, no problem. Here it takes even colder than that. To prevent corking on your cactus, you should always remember to give it more of an acidic water, sodium bicarbonate, as I remember. And if you can't get your hands on sodium bicarbonate, then you better look for a product that's similar, that can give these cacti what they naturally need, and it's more of an acidic water, which promotes their growth, because a lot of them grow in alkaline soil, and nothing is going to get the minerals out of alkaline than acidic water. Okay, down the bottom here we continue. Now this is a Mammillaria grusonii. It could be something else, but it certainly looks like it because it has rather large flowers for a Mammillaria, which remind me of grusonii. So it has all these buds forming in there, so we're going to have a nice display of flowers. Next to it is my flowering albilinata, which I've had for years. It grows rather slow, but don't hurry it up. Whatever you do, don't overfeed it or do anything like that. Just let it grow naturally, and it'll be beautiful, strong, and healthy. Phallocactus bicolor, which I repotted a couple of years ago, and it has these big, beautiful purple flowers. So it is magnificent. I think I have another one too that I've been growing. I always get this name wrong. It's not cylindraceous, it's Phallocactus chrysocanthus. Chrysocanthus is a small barrel Phallocactus. So what I mean about small is it'll get to about 30 to 40 centimeters at a maximum size and height. And people love this one because of its beautiful golden colored spines against the dark green, so it's a beautiful cactus. I got that from a cacti grower specialist here in Japan, where I live. Over here is Mammillaria elongata that I've had for many years, and I even can see some pink in there, so we got buds coming along. And this big old Mammillaria here, Copper King, has a flower open there. It's got many more to come. And then we have another variety of elongata. Over here, this is mammillaria in the its last name starts with P. I'll put it on the screen here, but I love those golden spines contrasting against the white bristly inner spines, radial spines, and then it's got those big long twisted black central spines that come out of it, so that's a beauty. This is Homalocephala texensis. I have another one down there that got the rots. I have no idea why. I have no idea. I love this for its flowers, by the way. Be careful with the watering and give it plenty of airflow. Up here is Libivia arachnacantha. This is beautiful yellow flowers that I love. And this one is offsetting plentiful, needs the water again. You can see that you got those lighter colored spines there. That's because it's been growing. This is Mammillaria mystax, and I have grown a lot of babies from that. For example, down here we have one that's been growing for a few years now, and another one here. These are mystax that I grew from seed. Surprisingly, when I did grow it from seed, I forgot to water it many times while it was still germinating, and it didn't even affect its germination whatsoever. So that's pretty amazing for a plant. This one, I didn't tag it yet, give it a tag on there, so it's a Libivia of some sort. It has red flowers and it's really profusely offsetting. This is albanalata, as far as I know, because the shape, the color, and on the flower and everything matches my other plant. Bought that one, I think, last year. This is Latispinus, Paracactus latispinus, that has shriveled a lot over the winter, but it does that to protect itself from cold. It'll start fattening up soon. Beautiful squat barrel Paracactus. This one is Mammillaria the name is not going to come to me. It splits dichotomously, which means that one stem will divide itself to make two rather than grow from the bottom. And this thing, along with mystax here, they've had everything thrown at them. Extreme heat, extreme humidity, even overwatering. And I've always grown them in terracotta and they have survived through it, no problem. In actual fact, I used to cover these tables with polythene, but the problem is that in Japan we have bright sunny days, so the air temperature can be below zero, but you can have bright intense sunlight, and that actually was making the temperature go right up over the 30s, and then it would plummet back down to zero again, and that kind of made it ooze out some sticky sap. This year it hasn't done that at all, so it prefers to be kept cool and not to be heated up and cooled down that dramatically. Well, we have some nice buds here on my Echinophossula cactus. That's nice. I'm looking forward to those. This is glassii, and I think, could that be a bud in there? Or is it just a piece of pumice? That one likes quite a bit of water, actually. Epithlantha micromeris, that I've been trying to grow from seed, but it's kind of slow. That is another Punabonii on its own roots. This is another kind of mammillaria that I don't have the plant tag for, but it's starting to bud up. This is my Ariocarpus Bianus growing nicely there. Rebutia, so-called Rebutia. And it needs some more water because it shriveled quite a lot over the winter. This is the prickly one, Tephra articulatus, the typical form. So it's got those nasty glochids. It's a beautiful cactus, and when it came, it had 2 pieces knocked off it, but I don't mind. I just planted them up. One is fattened up pretty well, so it's got a good root system. This one hasn't yet, but it probably will. Here, Mammillaria marxiana in bud and in flower. That's its second time. It flowered, I think, yep. This one flowers plentiful. It's pretty amazing. It's Kowinskiana, Mammillaria Kowinskiana, and it divided dichotomously, or split down the crown there into 2 pieces, and it's a beautiful, easy-growing cactus, and I love it. It's typical Mammillaria flowers there. You can see them. It's like greenish white with a stripe on it. That one is a Libiviopsis hybrid. It has very, very intense pink flowers. And these are prolifera. And they have buds this year, so that's neat. It's growing in a very mineral substrate with lime added. Loves the lime, that's for real. Okay, we're going to go down here. This is Gymnocalycium baldianum, I think. And one thing I know about baldianum is when you water it and it gets nice and plump like this, do not water it again until it gets pretty dry. Okay, let it dry out before you water it again. It's just the root system doesn't like to have water around it for too long. It causes rot. This is one of the most cold hardy gymnos, and it's Burruchii. So if you want something that is very cold hardy down to -12, which is below 17 Fahrenheit, then you want one of these, which I got from a specialist grower here in Japan. And that one is, let me look. It's a little bit hard to navigate down the bottom here. Wiginsia arenacea, yep. This one took the cold pretty well, surprisingly, and tried to grow it from seed. Haven't had any seedlings pop up yet, but we'll have another go. Looks like it's got buds on the way, beautiful yellow flowers. These are one of the most common ones in cultivation, but common doesn't mean beautiful to me, so I love them. These are Mahanovici Gymnocalyciums. You know what I like about them? They bud and they flower a lot, and they're just beautiful shape to them, and they all have slight differences. Every single seedling that you buy. This is I gotta really think about that. Let me just move over to this side so I'm not twisting my back. Squat down a little bit so I can get closer to these plants. Can't remember the name offhand, but I'll put it on the screen if I remember. He has beautiful rings of yellow flowers all the way around, just just back from the apex of the plant. This is your typical form, Cactus horstii, that has orange flowers. It's doing its favorite thing, the lean, because that's how they grow in cliffs, so it's natural. That one's just another form of Baldianum that has more pronounced ribs. These are Anacitii that are due for a repot because they're actually pushing onto each other, so I'm going to get on with that. These are Lophophorus, and they do get a little bit attacked by spider mite because of our humid summers. And this is Eubal manianus, and the scabbing there is just mite damage. Here's another Mahonovici. This is one of my favorites. Don't mind the white on there is actually sunburn because the cacti got moved and the September sun was pretty hot still. Canthocalycium spiniflorum, and it has buds. It's very hard to catch it in flower. The flowers open only at a certain time and then they close again. So this is one of my favorite high altitude or South American cacti for its spines. Lovely golden, and it's a really neat looking thing, and the flowers are beautiful too. This is sclerocactus. A kind of variety of that. Turbiniocarpus, Turbiniocarpus schmidtlichianus. You can stay in this pot for years. Doesn't need repotting probably for another 10 to 15 years in that size. It's growing well for me. Gymnocalycium monvelii, or Monvelei, I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. I love it for its beautiful green body. This one's quite shriveled after winter, but it's going to plump back up soon because it had water a few weeks ago. Has beautiful pink flowers, really large, and I really love it. Tends not to clump so much. Next to it is my Rebutia, so this should be coming into bud at some time. It's still got the white texture in the middle that is done by those nasty spider mites. Sprayed it with alcohol, actually, the hand sanitizer alcohol, and that burned all their little bodies and killed them all and their eggs, so that worked pretty well for me. Copiapoa hypogaea, beautiful, beautiful, easy growing Copiapoa that is very rewarding for the grower. Don't overwater it, but when you do, give it a good thorough watering, let it dry right out, and all is well, and you should have a beautiful plant easily. This is an offset that I've been growing of my Cactus horstii papyrus. These are just seedlings down here, a mixture of seedlings. We've got Lobivias in there, we have Echinopsis that have been growing. Up here, sorry, I got a little tight muscles in the legs there, I just need to have a stretch. This is Neoporteria. Beautiful flowers in abundance. Do not overwater your Neoporteria because it will rot. So edge on the side of dryness, and it'll be a happy cactus. This is possibly one of my favorite, along with the Gymnocalycium saglionus, and it is Haematocactus sedisminus. So very easy to grow from seed, and this is, I give it the term the flowering machine because it will just keep flowering all summer. As soon as all the flowers fall off, it's got more buds coming along. So I can flower up to 6 to 8 times easily every year. And I've had this plant for a number of years now, 5 or 6 years. It has a offset growing down there. It's lovely, small. This is the maximum size it gets to. So it's easy to keep in a small collection. It's tolerant of high humidity during the summer here. Has a fast growing mix. The flowers are not only beautiful, bright yellow with a red center, but they're very fragrant too. Citrus lemon smell, so they're just beautiful. Down here, lucky for the weather today, but we have our Mammillaria sorry, forgot the last name, but it has a profusion of flowers growing there. Once we get to the humid summer, I back off the watering because I've actually seen these growing in the neighborhood, and they've been right out getting full water during the summer. I've studied them, and they took it. They didn't die. Actually, they're all dead now because the owner divided the clump, and I noticed they're all repotted during the wet monsoon season, and they killed them all. And this is a very hardy cactus, very hardy Mammillaria, and beautiful clusters of flowers around the apex there, or just back from it, and easy culture. It can become very long, like a long snake, so a lot of growers like to grow it in a pot hanging, but growing out of the bottom of the pot, so they grow it and they tip it upside down and hang it that way. There I have two, well, I have plenty of these actually growing, and I've given them away. And these are Trichoceras huasha. This one is clustering like anything around the top because they do that. I let the ones right at the bottom that it grow into the soil. I let them stay, but these top portions I break off, grow them, and give them away. And I can see buds. If you look right here, right there, you can see buds forming. So it's going to have a beautiful red flowers. I can't remember if they're fragrant or not. This kind of light green is their natural color. It's not sickly, and it doesn't mean that it needs fertilizer. This is its natural color. It's very light green. Looking better these days is my Gymnocalycium denudatum. It got ravaged by something. Something attacked it. It could be some airborne spores got on it and had a good feast. Irritated it, and it's growing out of that scabbiness, and it's produced this beautiful new growth last year. So this year it'll actually almost get rid of its old corkiness. I thought it was going to die, but I held on to it, kept it healthy and growing. It likes to be more exposed to brighter light, and yeah, it actually likes quite a lot of direct sunlight too. This is a Echinopsis hybrid of some sort, and down there is my Oroya peruviana. It's growing really well now. I'll be happy when that has flowers, some of my favorite flowers of all time. This is Notocactus autunus. Autunus is very unique for a cactus because it has roots that are more like rhizomes, so they grow well away from the plant. They can grow up to 30 to 50 centimeters away from the plant, and you can grow this adventitious root system kind of like rhizomes, and then from them grow new cacti. So it's pretty unique. Beautiful red spines growing in the center there, so it's nice and healthy. It was pretty shriveled. It's actually plumped up quite a bit in the last few weeks, and it's going to have beautiful bright yellow flowers for me. Over here is another Haematocactus setospinus that have been growing. This is a big massive clump of beautiful purple flowering Echinopsis. You notice there that the growth is phenomenal. That's thanks to acidic water. Two Subinermus. This one here has a twisted ribs on it, which look neat. So I love these Echinopsis. These are species native to Argentina. They're beautiful white flowers with a slight yellow sepals. They have these very, very long sepals at the bottom of the... There's 4 of them that are just underneath the white petals. They just set the flower off, and the fragrance is just amazing. Beautiful fragrance. These are just more Echinopsis hybrids. They have beautiful flowers. This is Coryantha elephantidens. It's been doing much better these days. It even has an offset that I will take off when it gets larger and grow on. I just want to have one large plant. It's pretty prolific when it comes to offsetting, as you know. Because spider mites like to have a go at it, I keep it in brighter light, away from the wall or anything like that, and the spider mites tend to keep away from it. Yeah. I've been growing it hard, which means that it gets water, and I let it dry out quite a lot in between waterings, which keeps the epidermis nice and strong and tough. Spider mites find it hard to chew on it. Okay. Then we have this net. See this? I just hook it up on this screw that I have in the wall there. Just gives them a little bit of shade. Okay. We will just move along here a little bit. This is the roadkill cactus. I keep it inside during the winter. I call it the safety cactus because you can run your fingers up and down it and you never get prickles at all. Although it feels like it has some, but they're just like nylon. It's just like touching nylon, so they don't come off and embed in your skin or anything. If it does have any, it's just nylon bristles that barely protrude on some of the areoles. So you have some down here. See? It's just like nylon. It is native to Puerto Rico. I'm pretty sure it's Puerto Rico. That's the Caribbean island. Grows on the coasts. I love it because it's safe to handle. Beautiful, flat, unusual stems. Ease of culture. It's like a living piece of artwork. I just love it so much. Down here is an Echinopsis that has very bright green color. Chlorocantha, something like that. Echinopsis chlorocantha, which is a species. chlorocantha or something like that. That has beautiful white, slightly frilly flowers with a lovely fragrance, and it is a clustering machine. As you can see there, clusters a lot, and looking forward to those flowers. We got two down here. These are Soharancias or Trichoceras. I'm not sure what kind of flowers they will have, but I give them plenty of water during the growing season. They've put out an inch of growth. I'm expecting quite a bit of growth this year. We'll see how that goes. It's my Hoodia right there. It's come out for the summer. Up here is Mammillaria comptotricha. It's formed a nice colony here, growing up on the wall. Bird's nest cactus, they call it, because it resembles a bird's nest, the way all these spines grow. Very easy to grow. Once again, treat it like any other mammillaria, give it plenty of sunlight. You can see here that it's getting a lot because it's getting reddish, and it enjoys life up here on the balcony wall, which is plenty of fresh air and yeah, bright light. This is just another full pot of prolifera, Mammillaria prolifera, which grow a lot in the neighborhood in Japan, in pots. Very shallow terracotta pots up on people's walls. Yeah, okay, we've come to the end. So that was quite long, and I showed you a lot, but I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting as I share my cacti collection with you for spring. If you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget that looking after your plants is not a chore, it's part of your self-care. So get outside when you can, or as soon as possible, and start looking after some plants, and you'll feel much better for it. Anyway, until next time, we'll see you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.